be 1 second. Okay. As far as the broader markets go, the S&Ps go, does it hold this area here again, or is it going to break lower? We'll see in a few minutes. NASDAQ futures holding up much better, of course, but that gives them more room to fall if they're going to. Here's that prior low, but possibly it holds here. So we'll have to evaluate that. And because the way it came down, it usually takes a little while. And that's, the idea of repairing the damage or uncertainty. We've got this, depending on how you want to coin it, Christmas tree pattern of green, red, red, green, red, red. Maybe this is green, or sometimes we call it a frog in a blender type of pattern. If you're trading it, you're getting chopped up alive as this goes back and forth as it is. And, so we'll take it a little slow here in the morning and we'll see which way it goes, whether it breaks below here. And because it came from this high, even though it stabilized a little bit and went here, it would not be a surprise to see it break below that low and then spring right back up again. I've seen it happen a lot. So, I don't know that it will, but it's a pretty common failed pattern in the indices. The Dow down at the 200, the S&P and the ES been relatively close in their moves, but you can see this one is actually down below its respective low. So where might it go? Might go a lot lower, but they're not in alignment with each other. So, back to the same thought, we'll just have to wait and see how what it does in the first 5 minutes to possibly 30 minutes. My E signal here is having a little bit of a heart attack. I have to wait till that hourglass goes away. Come on. There we go. And what's oil doing? Just chopping around here, consolidating its gains. Not much to go on there. Let's see if bonds are, they reverse back up again. So interest rates are down a little bit. So markets have been worried about interest rates going higher. So we'll keep an eye on this to see if it continues to pop up, because that should be what the market likes, at least in the short term. So we'll see if it does that. And I'm going to set an alert down here just in case they take a dive. Okay, and stocks. Snap here, rebounding a little bit after getting destroyed. Virtually nothing, but it may pop up again. It's a pretty big move to the downside. Tiva we looked at. Big gap, $40. So this isn't bad. I don't know. There's a lot of gaps in this stock. SA, it's probably some kind of foreign stock. So, but I like this kind of a gap, whereas a gap, it's not clearing the resistance with authority, so to speak, but it's a nice gap for possibly going higher. Even gapped above a relatively wide red bar, above this resistance and all the way into here. We'll see if it holds up there a little bit. I'm jotting it down. Nvidia gapping up a little bit, no big deal. some gap downs. Wow. Whew. 55. That's a big one. Okay. Odds of going lower. Square reported last night, 46-ish. Not too bad. Not too bad. So ideally, it would have gapped below that swing low, looking at it for a shorting gap play. MU has been under pressure. And Tesla down again, 95-ish. I'm going to watch that. Just jotting them down to put on a thumbnail page. Boeing looks like I'm going to have some trouble for a while. Got this low here, but kind of a messy breakout failure up there. And take a look at JPM. 107, right on that low there. And I did there was I put it on all the charts of JPM. So when I bring it up on another page, that line is going to be there. So if I'm looking at, say, a 5-minute chart, that line's going to be there. It's like just a visual reminder. And what time is it? 11. We got time here. KKR 23. Maybe. That one's messy. And PayPal. So PayPal and Square have been big winners like a year or so ago. You see the moves that they were happening. Now this distribution pattern, right? This sloppy type of head and shoulders top. And so see Square, not quite as defined as a top and a big gap down, but they had been moving together. PayPal has the cleaner, larger topping type of pattern. So I'll begin watching this to see if it's going to clear that 200 MA with any decisive move, and it could start a downtrend for a while. And Google, not a big deal. Just gapping within this range here. And Caterpillar from yesterday, where is it? 140-ish. So down at the bottom of the bottoming tail, 200 MA there. The buyers have been stepping up here and sellers have been stepping up there on the retest. So similar to the S&Ps, down at the 200 and the Dow. We want to see if buyers are going to show up down in this area here, or where we're going to go. And really our market internals are dead neutral, so there's no guidance there, the downside being a possibility, the internals could go to a bullish level, which would set up a buy. So we'll monitor that through today, and we'll see where this goes. So that's it for me, Dan. When you can go over the open positions, CRUS is down. I saw that before, down considerably. Let's see where it is in my, there it is. Down just over 7%, almost 3 points, 35. So it's in the area of that swing low right there. So I don't like it when they're down at the low. So what I want to see, Sanjay, if I'm thinking of shorting it, I'd like to see it chop around for a while and then make the leg down. But because it's gapping to that low, it's possible it could stabilize and pop back up. So you look at other stocks within the sector, are they going down in sympathy with it? And Intel has been stronger. That's not doing much. And MU has been clobbered already. So I'll put it in a chart and we'll keep an eye on it and see what it does. All right. Go ahead, Dan.
Good morning, everybody. Sound check. Hello, hello.
I hear you.
All right, cool. All right, great. So Greg looked at the broader markets, a couple gapping stocks. Let's look at our, and I'm always have the spiders up here, so it's just chopping around at the low following climactic buy set up here on the 15-minute chart. But yeah, I would love, more sell-offs to get those internals to extremes, take out, I would love taking out, I know Greg talked about this prior low. I think we might have to take out these lows to get the internals to the extremes, but we will watch. Our oil stocks, XLE, we have covered calls, fine. OXY, we put on that bear call credit spread on this topping pattern, that's fine, but we're going to get out before earnings. Home Depot, Greg had an awesome day trade yesterday on this pullback on the 5 and 15. Awesome day trade. We also sold an out of the money put spread under this tail. So even though it's gapping down a little bit, nothing to do. Greg mentioned the Caterpillar already. FTR, we entered yesterday as a put spread on that earnings gap breakout, bottoming multi-year month. Multi-month bottoming on the weekly, and look at that, still holding like a champ here in the upper left. I'm watching that for an equity longer term position on a pullback. AEP put spread, fine, nothing to do. We aren't in this, but IYR, we're watching for a breakout. USG, we're watching for a bullish 1, 2, 3 and or intraday setup if we get it. And we have Intel out of the money put spread, so we're fine. Now I'll look at a bunch of gapping plays also, just from earnings, and I'll try to skip the ones Greg looked at. Now, I was looking at this New York Times today, and it's an interesting discussion, and we can have it more later if you all want, on reading multiple time frames, alignment, because even though this daily is in a downtrend, it's lower lows, lower highs, declining 20, declining 50. What's interesting is if you look at the weekly here, it's a sloppy pullback, I get it, but it's 50% pullback, right? I don't need my fib lines. Rising 20, monthly, wide range igniting, and also a controlled pullback. So if this, there's not good volume here pre-market, but I'm going to set an alarm near the high end of this. So that's 23.45, which is, actually right here already. So I'm just going to put this in a window, because if it can clear these 3 highs, then I have multiple time frame alignment. Zynga's, junk pattern. I'm just going to delete you right away. WCN, it's rolling over on the daily. Monthly, that's a strong uptrend. And you have this bottoming tail, which was what? It was a false breakdown, shakeout, 2-bar reversal. This is actually a long over the week's high. But it's not tier 1. I don't see where it's trading, so nothing to do right now. But I'll come back and look at him in 30 minutes. Square, gap down, nothing to do. Greg mentioned WMB. The daily, I can't tell where it's gapping, so I'm not going to even comment. But if it can take out a 30-minute high, it could be a put spread candidate. This spot that we talked about, I forget what I said, but it had like an implied move of like $25, and it's getting whacked pretty good here. So 154, just kind of eyeball it on my daily. Look at that, it's gapping under 1, 2, 3, 4 bullish green bars. So that's ugly. So I don't know, it's ugly, but the buyers are stepping up right now, so they're finding value in the low 150s. I have no clue what that's going to do, particularly since it's an IPO spot. So I'm just going to put that in a little window and watch them, because the premiums are juicy there. Again, particularly since it's a new IPO. So he's going to, I think Spot is going to spot. I think that was Greg's old dog, Spot, in high school. And we're going to put him in our directory here of toys to trade in the future. Let's look at this iRobot again from yesterday, see how he's holding up. Wait, not iRobot, S-Fly. Look at that. Market pretty weak. This is relative strength again. Greg had a great day trade there. I mentioned a secondary entry, I think, on this breakout right here. iRobot is still strong. I'm going to continue to watch him. Why do I keep saying iRobot? S-Fly. PRH. It's ugly, all time frames. You got to shake out on the monthly at the high, a head and shoulders breakdown. Gapped up a little bit, but not huge volume. This could be a great 30-minute low play. NE, I can't tell where it's opening, and nothing right now. MRO is relatively flat, but if this bottoming tail were real with volume, then that would be bullish, right? It's sold off, and now it's deep into the resistance. So over yesterday's high, which, look, it just printed there, let's just call it 1840. Where are you? The high is 1850. And yeah, I know it's at this prior high and oil getting extended, but this is a 30-minute high candidate. KHC, just nasty bearish on all time frames. It's getting a little bit of a relief gap here. Went up to 56, now 55 and a quarter. I have no interest in fighting this ugly trend. We'll still watch it later for learning. Hyatt, H, I can't tell where it's opening. I have no opinion. It's range bound, resistance above, support below. Fitbit, garbage, FEYE, gapping down 1770. So it's gapping under the low of this, but you still have all this support, resistance above. But it looks, the monthly is interesting. If this can negate the gap and trade, okay, so here's a quiz for you all. Based on it, it's trading right now at 1770. What will the daily bar look like if it takes out yesterday's high? So I'm just going to set an alert here for 1850. So go ahead and answer that for me while I do this. Correct, Sanjay. That's correct. It will be a bear gap bully plus. Yeah. You're absolutely right. But I was also thinking of just a big monster, wide range engulfing bar. Just paint a picture in your head. The real body at the open is here, and then the real body is up here. That's going to be a big green bar like this. And the weekly's in an uptrend, and the monthly is getting it's multi-year consolidation. Look at this. Climactic, new low. You know, Greg talks about new low divergence. Can you all just see that in your mind's eye? That the oscillator is going to give you a bullish, you know, MACD or whatever your flavor is, because the momentum down and then the new low didn't go as far. Then I have a nice bar consolidation. Now I have a higher high, higher low. So the monthly, even though it's, you know, not convincing, looking at pivots, it's in an uptrend. So I got my alarm in there and I'm moving on. Hey, good morning, Dan. ESRX gapping, you know, down, whatever. I see nothing there, but we'll come back in 30 minutes. Nothing. Triple D, nothing. Yeah, we got a lot of earnings here. At Seoul's Caesar's Palace. Okay, 1235. So it's a bullish gap, but there's no price void. Look at this brick wall that it's running into. So I have zero interest there. Crust, you all looked at. CF gapping 3724. So it's a bearish gap, but the support, I'm just going to delete him. No interest. CERN gapping down 53. I think you all mentioned that one. That's a very bearish gap. The monthly, it can come to 50. So let's watch that one. Very bearish. CAR. I remember trading CAR and Hertz when they were getting killed on bad news of having difficulty of unloading, you know, their fleet like they do every, you know, 2-3 years. What do we got here? So I don't have great volume, but I have still a price void. You know, it's a nice weekly. Look, down. It's a form of head and shoulders. I mean, reverse head and shoulders, left shoulder, even though, you know, it's just 2 bars, but it's consolidating here. If it can get through 50 through this, so I'm going to set an alarm. The high here is 49.70, which, you know, it's kind of hard to tell where it's trading. I'm just going to throw that in a window also, because my alarm might just go off prematurely, whatever. Khaki. This is a big car loan interest thing, I believe. I can't tell where it's opening, but, you know, you have a nice double top on the weekly after a new high. That's bearish. But look the way it trades. Look at these daily bars. I have no interest in participating in that. APA, it's selling off 40 bucks. So it's actually a bearish gap here. It's gapping to the low end of this. That's bearish. All right, I'll look at Sanjay's real quick data. Yeah, Sanjay, you find some good stuff. 93, but the gap is excessive now for me. Look, when something's off my daily pricing chart, what do you call this, axis? When it's off my price axis and I have to go to a bigger time frame to see where it's trading, it's extended, but on a pullback, definitely that is a pro gap breakout. I think, yeah, Greg, yeah, we already talked about CERN. It looks lower. You can watch it, FND, 50 bucks, gapping down here. I don't like the gap to this prior low, and it's too sloppy for me. I think we can find better. AIG 51. When I saw this gap today, it just brought back memories of the financial crisis. You know, AIG having to get bailed out. Bearish gap, right, under everything here. I don't know what my entry would be. We'll watch it in 30 minutes. VMC, that's gapping to 120. This is a nice pro gap. Look. Now I know there's always resistance to the left unless it's an IPO. So it's our job just to assess the potency of that. I think this would be a great 30-minute high play, because then if this gap can hold and not sell off too much, I think 30-minute high, it will plow through this. So I'm going to watch that. Tiva, I know Greg mentioned. SFM, nothing. I can't tell where it's printing. Junk. OA. Wow, that was a pro gap yesterday, which I missed. Orbital. Is this a is this an AI stock? Wow, that's interesting. Why did it gap up before earnings? This weekly almost looks like a buyout. Wait, something's not right here. This makes no sense to me, because this weekly chart is not corresponding with this. I don't know. I'm not going to waste time on it right now. All right, New York Times doing nothing. I know the market's open, of course, but I'm watching the market on my other screens. And so far, there's some buying. It's not selling off. K-Log is negating, this gap is negating this ugly red bar, but there's no compelling pattern. So that does not interest me. GPN, garbage, you're out. CI. Now it's trying, is this a bear flag on the weekly? I don't know. But I think if this can clear last week's highs right here, then there's a price void above. That would be a great put spread candidate. I'm going to set an alarm, 175. 175. All right, let's look at the market now, and then I'll continue. Spiders daily is still lower, bearish gap, and it's not. It's still consolidating. It didn't rip up. Intel, we're in the put spread, but there's nothing to do right now. Our approach to the Intel was we're just going to roll it and take assignment. So just tell me what your question is, please, in terms of your trade, and then I can better intelligently answer you. CAC is getting whacked. Big bearish pro gap down. It's under this prior low, but it's a climactic now using the pre-market data on the 15. So that is not the time to enter. You would want a bounce in a bearish setup on your intradays. But look at this bearish monthly. That's a downtrend. All right, market's new low. This is garbage. I'll look at the others here. Diamonds here. This looks like a short under a 10-minute low. Looks like a short. I know it was kind of, could this have been a gap and snap on the 15? Possibly. But this weakness here, pre-market, and this bearishness on the daily under all of these bottoming tails. Remember the weekend letter? Greg said we're sandwiched in between these tails. So even though we're still holding this tail on the weekly, we're under all these daily tails. That was Kyle, you put up. Oh yeah, Cat. It looks bad. I mean, our stop is under this low. And remember our rule, we don't want to get stopped at the dead low. We want to time it with the market here. Do we give it a 5-minute low, 10-minute low, 30-minute low? So our stop is under 140.30. and it went to 140.40. So it actually held the stop by a dime. So we kind of have our fingers crossed here, but the question would be, do we want to wait 10 minutes? And I would say, I would recommend that, just not to get stopped at the dead low, but it does look bearish. I mean, it had a night when we entered, it looked great, closed with a topping tail. Now we're just hanging on at this bottoming tail. And Greg, if you have any thoughts to add on the, you know, taking the stop loss of just taking it and, you know, taking our medicine, or waiting 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I don't have a perfect answer on that. Car now looks horrible. Remember, I had my alarm, so now it's breaking to the downside. So this would be a bear call credit spread candidate. Let me actually look right now. That looks like a nice top now. So to see if what we can get for the $50 calls. And as typically the case, it's 25 cents by 85. So it's just too spready. There's apron, bullish gap up, but I'm not touching that dog for a while. All right, spiders accelerated. Now the Qs are stronger than the others, right? It's holding the support. So if you were to short something, diamonds, spiders, stop high, and I wouldn't touch IWM. So spiders and diamonds are the weaker. ALNY, bearish breakdown, daily, weekly. You know, it's 3 days oversold, but if it can't bounce, I mean, under yesterday's low or some other, you know, price improvement here on an intraday pattern, it looks like it's heading to the 200 on the weekly. Stalled, garbage. That's a steel stock. AIG, bearish gap, but how do you get on board? We're approaching, you know, it's on support monthly, but that's a bearish bar on the daily, weekly, monthly. You just got to watch your 5 and 15-minute charts for an entry. But as of right now, it sure looks lower. CERN was a big bearish gap, but now buyer stepped up and I need more data to get on board short. OLEX, it's kind of garbage. I'm deleting them. Our Tesla, gap into that prior low, sold off some more into, you know, the pre-market. There's a little bottoming tail here, but I wouldn't touch this for even for a day trade until 30 minutes higher low, because right now a doji bar hanging on by a thread. It's a total coin toss right now. The bulls and bears are just looking at each other saying, all right, you know, what do y'all want to do? Met a little, you know, bullish gap, but total garbage. You're gone. CI, I set an alarm on that already. Merck, garbage. FMC. All right, this was this could be a, well, the price void ain't great at all, because I like the gap, I like the bottoming tail, I like it being over this, but I don't like this whole mess. So you're gone, FMC. The IYR, you know, just I'm going to set an alarm, just eyeball it up here, 76.20. I'm going to set an alarm. S-Fly from yesterday, nothing to do. Apple, wow, Apple's holding strong. And that's why, something is holding strong in the Qs. It's still down on the day, of course, but as I said, it's holding up the best of the other indices. USG. All right, CAD is still holding. We got our fingers crossed, but I would, without a doubt, unless, I mean, do we use 30-minute low, 15-minute low? I mean, I hope it doesn't take out the low so we don't have to make a tough decision. Wow, look at our FTR from yesterday. Jesus, look at that. Just basing like a champ on the 15-minute chart. I said that into the close yesterday, market selling off. And FTR was saying, what sell off? We don't care what you all are doing. We're doing our own thing. Let's look at Sanjay's data. All right, came in sloppy. So see, it needs a lot of time to heal. My New York Time I had in the thumbnail, garbage now, so he's gone. See, I've kicked him out after 10 minutes. Car I mentioned, that was a nice short setup. I mean, bear call credit spread, but I was willing to hit the button, but it was too spreading. I was watching VMC as a pro gap. I don't know if that tail is real. If it's not real, then I like it better. And the reason for that is because of this pre-market support and consolidation, not support, consolidation. Gapping up and going sideways is relative strength. So, I mentioned this prior high, but it's a 30-minute high candidate. Wow, spot. See, I said I was doing nothing for 30 minutes, but it's gapping a major support. I'm curious what the puts are, right? Puts or calls are. How much juicy Spotify. So for expiring tomorrow, wow, these are still juicy. Holy cow. And see, folks, this then is why I love selling short-term options. The stock's at 152.50. The 152.50s right now are 285. And I would never do at the money. I'm just giving you that number. But we could go all the way down to the 145s. Way down here. Look at that, $7 away. And we can still get 55 cents. Would I do it now? Absolutely not. I'm just, telling you what I'm thinking. If this were to set up with something bullish, which isn't now, it's totally neutral, just like my, whichever one I was talking about, the Doji. Oh, Tesla, yeah. Okay, see, now I have a signal of buyers and strength. If Tesla, if today were Friday, once this bar closed, it would be a candidate to sell a 275 out of the money put that expired today. But I'm not touching that for an overnight trade. But for the fun of it, let's see what the 275s are paying right now that do expire tomorrow. They're massive. They're, $2.05. That's massive. So you're just, if you were confident that this will hold the low, it's really 2 days. And so whenever I say 1 day or 2 day to expiration, the software doesn't count the current day. So when you pull up your software and it says May 4 expiration in parentheses 1 day, it's not counting today. And that's why sometimes you hear me say, or I type in the alert, I say the days to expiration is 1.5 if I give it at noon. But if I were to give the alert today, I actually put in there, it's 2 days of risk. The market just opened, so today is a day of risk. Oh, it's accelerating now to the downside.
Yeah, what do you think of EXEL for a put spread? Tim and
I love it.
pointed
I
this out.
love it. If you can, and I don't know how I missed out on my gap. I love it if you can get premium. So let me look. Love it. Relative strength. What is? Just curious, Greg. What sector is that? It's sound. You know, it's Excel. I have no clue.
Biotech.
Yep. There you go. You got some risk there. But is today earnings?
Probably out to do again in August.
The problem is they're too spreading. The $20 puts for 2 weeks, 20 by 50. So tell him, you know, you can, well, I guess he's listening. So the answer is I love the pattern. You know, try to get a little 5-minute bullish pullback. And you got to work your order on the big spreads. So that's my answer. But great pattern. So, you know, congratulations for combining a compelling chart pattern with the strategy. All right, we have a position in XRT. It's, you know, longer term, so there's nothing to do. Except maybe selling a $46 call around it. Convert it to a covered call. Let me check that out. And see, you know, Greg and others, that's why sometimes I start out with a covered call, you know, because we knew we took a half lot here and a half lot right, you know, yesterday here at 45 bucks. You know, if you don't mind the premium, so next week, 46 XRT is, geez, these spreads are crazy. It's 6 cents by 33-cent spread. But you know what I'm going to tell people to do, or try to do, for those that are in it? Let's try to play market maker. Let's try to sell a 46 call, not as a new trade, but to leg into a covered call. And if we get filled at, you know, 32 cents, then I like it. It's 5 days of risk. This pattern suggests more range bound to me. This doesn't look like it's going to, you know, rip now. You know, it's pulled back 50% here, converging MAs, but if I can lower my cost basis 33 cents, I will do it. Here, I'll just throw spiders in here. Okay, so wide range bar, nothing to do. 200 is right there. Is this going to be a breakdown failure? I don't know. I have no clue. But right now it's still in a downtrend, and this is in the lower half of this wide range bar. But let me type up this XRT adjustment. All right, that was sent to subscribers. Yeah, on cat, I mean, there's definitely I mean, don't touch this if you aren't in it. But if you are in it, we're in, management mode right now. It's held our stop by a dime, and we have our fingers crossed. With the market, it's teetering right here. So I would use a 30-minute low. And then if it takes out that tail and the market continues to sell off, I mean, could it whip us out and snap right back and be in a shakeout? Yes, but we have to, take our stop and stand aside. 1 second, Dan. And reassess. I mean, that's what pattern trading is. But I see the indices are holding a little bit. So again, I'm going to just keep our fingers crossed. And it's that magical 200 on support on the spiders. Q's making a new day's high and taking out this morning consolidation. So things are perking. Dan, can you enter another position on XRT by doing a buy right? That's a good question. So the question would be, Dan, is this a bullish new pattern? You would get price improvement from where we entered, but it's sideways with conflicting tails again. So I personally would wait for a more convincing bullish setup. So that's my answer. I would wait. I just think if you're going to put on a new trade, I think we can find more compelling setups. That's all. All right, our Oxy down a little bit. XOP from yesterday is still basing like a champ. Well, we are not in XOP. Somebody asked me about it yesterday. We're in XLE, and how? TBT or the interest rates, opposite of TLT. So bonds, rallied up, and they're in a small little trading range here. YRCW, I remember him. He's a shipping stock. That's fantastic, Sanjay. You find some great things. So here's our pre-market strength, gapped up almost to 9, which is over. Nice consolidation. We had the curling 20, flattening 50. Yeah, I mean, it looks good. I like the W bottom on the weekly after a new low. I don't know what your target would be, but let the stuff, maybe it says 200 around $12. But once you're in management mode, just trail it. Let the dog tell you how far he wants to run. But this would also be a fantastic put selling candidate. So I'm going to look. Now, is this on earnings today or some other news? Because I didn't see him in my earnings list. It's the May 8th, 0 by 19. The May 9s, 6 cents by 34. But you know what I'm going to do right now? And I'm going to play market maker. I'm going to go low offer on the $8 puts for 18 cents. So now you'll see me as low offer. Now it's 0 by 18. Wow, and it's still not posted yet. There, it's posted. That took 5 seconds to post. That is weird. All right, come on, cat, hold. Run, cat. Deer is still lagging though. Look at that dog. Look at Walmart, it's still a dog. I had, you know, on this green bar, I was like, hey, are you gonna surprise us? If the market turns ugly, I you know, particularly with this topping tail now on the weekly, this might be due for another flush out, you know, maybe to 81 bucks. Target. Yeah. And go through some of these gappers again. ALMY. Still bearish. Let's see what maybe with a $100 call spread. $100. Untradeable. Oh, and that's a pharmaceutical too. For some reason, I thought it was. Oh, it says it right there in the title. Duh. 45 by 180. And I don't trade bios. You're gone. Apron. You're just a junk. See, it was climactic here, but it couldn't bounce very much. It's still weak, even with the market bouncing. This thing's a dog. So our break, look, 2-bar reversal now. So if this can now go sideways here into 1030 or longer, this will be a reverse head and shoulders. And then I'm interested in selling an out of the money put spread that expires tomorrow. I would not even do it for Monday or Wednesday, but if I get a bullish reversal at the 200 right here again on support, let's look at what a 261 or lower will give us for tomorrow. Wow, it's very juicy. The 260s are 61 cents. So the 260, 255. 260, 255. It's 52 cents right now. I'm not doing it now. I'm just talking about a possible trade setup. But that I like that juice for 1.5 days of risk. But it's still early. I don't need to run into anything. CI, you know, remember I set an alarm up here if it could have gone that way, but it's not. So it's still sideways. I said, is this a bear flag on the weekly? If this is actually a 1, 2, 3 on the monthly. New York Times, you're done. The OA that I think Sanjay mentioned. Something is weird going on with this. I don't want to trade. junk. SFM bearish gap down, but Tiva bullish gap up from a 1, 2, 3, but it's at resistance and it's a bio, so not me. VMC, I don't like the, well, I said I don't know if that tail is real, but now it's red, which means it's under its open. AIG dog, still weak. 5-minute chart. Okay, so it took out a 5-minute low. Here's a 10-minute. And it's still, this did not bounce with the market. This is a 30-minute low candidate, which is, you know, right now it's 9:59. There's a small tail there. Let's see what it does. The Qs are filling, you know, the gap now installed. Spiders at the day's high and backing off. And Greg, what do you think of this AIG short under the low?
One second. It doesn't look like it's going to go up. I don't really care for breakdowns that are with a gap of this size, but it could certainly work. The market cooperates. Things are pretty much a giant mess. Everything that I look at where bounces against downtrends intraday and questionable as to, you know, repairing the damage of today's gap or not. That's still in the process of being worked out.
Yeah. And look at the spiders here. You know, I said it rallied to the day's high. And for this to be a bullish reverse heading shoulders, this had to go sideways at a high level. Similar to this.
It couldn't get through the open, which was near about the day's high. The Qs did.
Right.
And now the Qs are pulling back to the opening price where buyers should show up. And, you know, if they don't, that would suggest lower. But if they do and turn higher, well, you probably got the spiders going to flip back in the other direction, you know, and everything. It's in alignment with everything I'm looking at, which just suggests that whipsaws are relatively high odds to happen. That CRUS came roaring back. I was thinking to short it, but, you know, it came back on the 5-minute with pretty big wide range bars, so I didn't do that.
And Greg, I think our little Zoom meeting today at noon, I think our topic should be trading in this environment, you know, analyzing the current situation, the whipsaws. What do we do in whipsaws? You know, like we were talking yesterday, you can day trade, try to short put spreads, stocks on their own page, but otherwise, you know, we got to wait until the stars line up.
You know, that not waiting or not knowing what to wait for is probably one of the biggest, you know, hurdles that every trader has to get over, because everybody feels like they got to be doing something. Things are moving, but
wait, what do you mean not knowing what to wait for? Because you're saying they don't know what a quality setup is.
Well, even if they know what if they do know what a quality setup is. So, there are so many potholes along the way to success, in that even if you know what a quality setup is, and day traders will typically be looking at 2-minute charts, 5-minute charts, you could have what looks like a quality setup in a lower time frame, and the daily and hourly is just, garbage or looking lower. And, we've all done it. You hit the button on a smaller time frame, and then you get whipsawed, and the higher time frames aren't in alignment. So not knowing what to look at as far as quality setups, multiple time frame alignment, what is the market doing, and look, as a day trade, short-term trader, whatever it is, in short-term, there's more information to process versus a swing trader. Just, hey, what's the alignment of the daily and the weekly time frame? You can look at the sectors; it's showing relative strength and relative weakness, but it's putting the pieces of the analysis concepts together that create high probability setups.
And there you have it. I think that's a fantastic topic for today. Now, see, even Apple, this chart is relative strength, and the daily, of course, but just this 15-minute chart is relative strength to the Qs. This blasted through this resistance and through yesterday's close, and it's holding pretty darn well here.
I don't know if you looked at this, Dan, YRCW. That's
Yes.
going to report earnings. I guess it did today.
Oh, yes. Yes, Sanjay asked about it, and I answered that it looked great. First, find your 5 and 15-minute intraday entry, and it was a fantastic put spread, but I'm actually playing market maker, trying to sell the $8 puts on the offer because there's too darn spreading.
Here's one I would like, even if it made a lower low here and the market was reversing because of the gap, data, DATA, nice gap over, nice consolidation and an uptrend on the daily. So looking at the 5-minute, if this was to pull back to the low of the day, or even poke below it in reverse, I would be interested in that. Qs are almost to their opening price here.
So, yeah, Greg, on this cat, we were talking about it earlier. I don't know if you heard, but it took out the day's low. And I said, I was hoping to keep our fingers crossed that it would hold there with the market. But, do you have any thoughts other than we just got to stop out, wait for a new setup?
It's sitting right on the 200. I think, I would just sit on it and wait a little while longer and see what the market does here.
All right. Right. And that's where I'm saying it's a tough call of, you don't want to stop out at the dead low, but you also can't be a deer in the headlights and, go into hope mode.
Well, there are choices. Unload half and wait. Buy a put. Sell call spread. And this is your forte.
Right. And I'm just asking about the pattern, though.
The pattern is one in which is just, tells me welcome to Mr. Schizophrenia's world. Give it a try. If you don't get your head taken off, you don't know. It's not, it's not bullish pattern, but it's one of these bottoming patterns that is like, you just don't know. And like you said, you could stop out at the low and be in your face. Is it going to tank here? I wouldn't think so, but
I mean, you could sell the 147, which is over yesterday's high, 152.5 for 40 cents. But then the downside of legging into an iron condor is then if you get whipped,
you can't say if, because you don't know.
I know, but it's a mathematical fact. If you're selling a call spread for 40 cents and then the thing goes up $5, then you've lost on the call spread. That's just a fact. I'm telling you the downside.
Yeah, but it's the same thing as saying if I buy a breakout and it fails, I'm going to lose money.
Well, true, but we're trying to make a rational decision of, does it make sense to leg into a call spread?
So you see the pattern. Do you think, I don't know what the time to expiration is that you're looking at, but
next Friday
it always comes down to, do you think it'll get back above the high of the topping tail in that time?
Absolutely correct. That's 100% correct. And is it worth 40 cents a share of taking that speculation?
What do you think? I mean, you have to, like you always say, look at the pattern. What do you think? You think it'll get back above the high of the topping tail?
What? So 0 to 100% confidence. What's your number?
And you want to give it back to me?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I mean, if you told me tomorrow, say 100%, it's not going to happen. Tell me next week, I'd probably tell you 95% it's not going to happen. Tell me next month, I'll tell you I have no idea whatsoever.
Right. And I was concerned, or asking rather, for next Friday, correct?
I said, no, it's not going back above that high by next Friday. And the only thing I think that could do that is, like, why is the market going down today? Well, whatever it started yesterday, what are the media, what are they saying? Why is the market going down?
I have no idea. I don't listen to them.
Trade wars. Trade.
No, that's
again, right? So a couple of weeks ago, oh my God, trade wars, China, Market goes down. Market goes back up. Nothing about trade wars. Today, it's about trade wars. This is a schizophrenic market. Tomorrow, no talk about trade wars, and the market might be going up, or, who knows? We talked yesterday, jobs report. Oh, it's too good. Inflation. People are making too much money. Market goes down. Jobs report comes out. Not as good. Market goes up or the market goes down. This market has no idea what it wants to do because it goes day to day. And all these professionals that are in the market, they just reacting to moment news, whereas today in the morning, it's like bail, it's the end of the world. And, come 3 o'clock, it's like, oh, the end of the world didn't come. Bye.
Yeah, I sure would love a big ugly sell-off to get those internals in alignment. Yeah, transports 200 in prior low, but
I'm muting my mic for a little while, Dan. I still got this work going on out here.
yeah, this is a very tricky environment. You see here again, diamond's new low, but it's not accelerating. Spiders, new low, but weaker retracement. It's actually a bearish 1, 2, 3 right now on the 5-minute. I think sideline is the best place to be. Unless you find a bearish pattern in something and market makes a new low for a day trade. Hey, Greg, did you do anything to Zoom? Mine's kind of...
No. I see your screen blinking in and out. Maybe your internet is kind of popping once in a while or something. Been searching here, looking for something today. You know, this market just in a big mess. Thought maybe there'd be some premium here in a call spread, but you know, I don't want to go too far out. For 8 days, I would be willing to do it. But again, almost everything, there's like no premium that makes it worthwhile doing it. Yeah. So, and I like this pattern. It hasn't been able to move up after this gap down. And you can see on the 30-minute, that double top and it's starting to break, which would be, you know, this meets the criteria for intraday shorts, but nothing there. So let's just go through. These are more liquid. These kind of choppy days are good, you know, setting up alerts and for what if things turn around. It's MasterCard, I like the gap up and that sideways consolidation there. I just wait for the alert to go off to see if it starts setting up to go higher. Netflix, I just don't know what that's going to do. It's just going sideways, but it's been holding up relatively well. Earnings are out of the way. McDonald's breakout failure. This could be good when Dan comes back and have him take a look. This could be good for an iron condor. You know, support down here, breakout failure up there. And 170. $170s, 2 by 7. Certainly looks like it can go lower, but it'll come back to this. All right. A little bit more. These premiums pop up a little bit more. Oh, 15 days. Let's go closer. Let's see. It gets down here. We're going to take a look at this as a put spread. Coming up to the second reversal period at 10:30, and markets are at new lows. I'm going to wait, see if it bounces. And I think at this point, I will short a bounce here because the trends are coming into alignment and it took out this low here. But I can't do it here. I have to wait for it to go sideways or bounce up a little bit. Let's see if this bounces. You know, if this would bounce back up into the opening price, I'll look at it. I'll short it. Assuming it stops there and reverses. Let me just put it up on a chart on the system. I don't know how to say this name that's in the chat here, NOKT. If we stop out for a loss, it's going to be in the spreadsheet. So you're definitely going to get a notification.
Well, no, Greg, you don't get a notification if it just hits a stop, but it'll be in the spreadsheet. We don't notify people if it hits a stop.
Assuming everybody looks at the spreadsheet, it's a notification.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I just wanted to clarify. That's all, because I don't want to clutter up people's, text message all day long either.
I don't think that's a clutter. The Qs are trying to hold here. Let's see what kind of attempt they can make to push higher. Got a couple of bottoming tails on the 2-minute. Well, this one's trying to make a bottoming tail. Almost done. Not in love with this setup, but I did short it right here. I don't have to be in love with it. Just a reversal and give it a little bit of room to that high. What I don't love about it is the fact that it bounced from the support, but it's pretty ugly intraday here. The weekly, certainly in trouble. Got a few days left. And market inability to bounce. Shorted at exactly 63.01. Why would gold go up? You know, if it's supposed to be inflation concerns. I'll come back to this. GLD. Gapped up, went kind of nowhere. Daily chart is just garbage. Kind of meaningless in the context of that breakdown and mess that's there. Could be the start of something, of course, as a low. Now, to have done it at 64, I would have had to done it at the open, Pat. Or thereabouts. Which I really don't do. I mean, if it's a really compelling pattern, I'm going to wait at least probably 2 minutes. Sometimes with the overnight data, looking at it with that, you can make a good assessment. Just making it a different color so that 40% pre-post. So there has to be some volume, and clearly there was nothing here. So you could see the pre-market data. So sometimes, if it's in a downtrend and it's going sideways, pre-market, and at the open it starts to break down, that would be a reason, to do something before a minute or so. So, I don't know. Noak T, never asking about the confirmation. I think Dan stepped away. Dan updates the text messages and the trade sheet. So I'm not sure what he's putting in there, whether if you're asking if he's sending out a text message, if something is closed at a loss. Honestly, I don't know. But it is on it is on the trade sheet.
Yeah, no, that's what I answered a moment ago, that we send alerts when there's new trades or if a timely adjustment is necessary. If I say that, a target or a stop in the spreadsheet, I don't send an alert to tell you something that is already in the spreadsheet. There's no adjustment needed. So that's the answer.
Okay. Well, he asked twice, so wanted to give him an answer. That line, Pat, on the chart denotes the opening price of the day. The blue line, and I know they're small. Let's see if I can make them bigger. The blue line is yesterday's close. I always forget where they put that. Don't think it gives me the option of how thick to make it, which they should. Nope, no way of making it thicker. Ooh, there's a power downtrend. Zero by 45 cents. These option market makers are criminals. Let's take a look, man. Van Fam and YouTube asking me about EQIX. Real estate REIT. That's a nasty gap. It could be a short, man. Definitely. It looks like it's grinding its way up into this area right here, these overlapping bars. This is where I would want to look for some type of reversal around 405. Then you just have to watch it and see, if it keeps grinding up into there, And then it rolls over. That's your resistance area right there. Let's look at trends, some downtrends. Climactic buy list grew a little. I'm still working on tweaking this scan here, but without the market really bottoming, there was a pretty decent sized volume spike on the 2-minute of the SPYs. And the ticks did go to an extreme, and they bounced from that minus 1200 area. So maybe we are at a low here. Right there. And there was a little baby breakdown failure, but the 5 is still in a downtrend. So, I mean, to really start thinking of longs, I need to see the 5-minute bottoming out. Major resistance is still way up here. So there's, let's go to the hourly. Hasn't reached that swing low yet. Qs. There's just really still nothing going on there. Just sideways mess.
Yeah, and also the volatility. Well, Greg, show us VIX if you don't mind, because I only have VXX and VXX. It looks like a bullish, pattern on support, but I would like to see volatility rip up, to some prior highs.
Well, that's not going to happen unless the market picks up steam to the downside.
Correct, and that's what I'm hoping too.
Mm-hmm. This market moves on speculation, not even reality. So, No, Pat, I didn't do any other day trades because there was just such confusion between time frames, which now they're coming together. So we need retracements. The things that I was looking at was just kind of a mess, but some of these things that are getting slapped pretty darn good like this, but I wasn't looking at it at the time. I mean, that wasn't even a gap. It wasn't even in the list, but I assume it must have reported earnings. Well, it could have been yesterday, and it just followed through today.
Wow, Time Warner would have been an excellent bear call spread on the gap down like 7 days ago.
So, point of view, this kind of a play for a climactic, which is starting to get there. ideally, if it broke down through this area here, especially if it broke down through 190, and this was still going down vertically, then we look for it to start to make its turn, because it's happening either at support or just after breaking through it. So we'll set the alert at just before to get ready if it happens. If it happened today, that would be perfect. So I'll only set it for today. Whoa. This is climactic, but no turn yet. Let's see. There's no climactic volume yet. It tried there a little bit to hold on the retest of that bottoming tail bar. It failed. The next leg down. The support is down here, but could it drop that much more? Yeah, of course. Just put this in this list to come back to. What's Facebook doing? 0. Semiconductor memory. What is Cirrus? Because that it come back strong as hell. This is memory. This is just semiconductors. This stock's inability to bounce at all. And it was strong earlier this morning. I saw it flip up and I thought, wow, that was impressive. Maybe it can hold on to this and get turned around. Maybe it couldn't because of the market, but sellers keep coming into this thing, and the 200 just might be a magnet at this point. So I'm throwing this in a thumbnail looking for setups to short this as long as it stays below this area here on the hourly. That CAH couldn't bounce up toward the opening price. And that is a, potentially shorting a little shelf like that. It certainly could work, because it's so weak, but just has higher probability of a whipsaw. But so I pass on that. I wanted to see it bounce up into, I want to see bounces up towards some resistance. Or some type of a failure pattern, meaning, that just little tiny trades between the bid and the ask versus a topping tail where it tried to go up, or a green bar where it went up and came right back down again, which is what happened with cores. You know, it was grinding its way up, and it pushed and got knocked right back down again. So, you know, the longs that were, you know, going long, buying on this grind, you know, and then it accelerates. You know, if you're long, that's how I look at patterns. Is like, what did people experience in that? You know, if I was long this, say on this reversal down here from the gap, and it's grinding and then it accelerates, and look at how these are going sideways there. So let me look on the 2 minute. And you see that little shelf? And then you add to it. It's aggressive. I mean, it's what, you know, everybody has different strategies or whatever, but so I wouldn't fault somebody that was more aggressive as a counter trend trade, and they added and then got caught on it and it came back in. So that type of a shock pattern, you know, produces supply. So now let's see, it came back up in a little micro time frame. It came up to minor resistance. Sellers came in. We've got this support here, but because of the weakness, the assumption is that if it could break here, and that is the assumption, that doesn't mean it will, but if it does, then it should start to pick up some steam to the downside. If buyers can defend that low, well, then I have to reconsider whether I want to cover my short, because just give me a sec.
Yeah, hey, I'm here. I'm just suggesting a covered call. I'm sorry, rolling the XLE strike that expires tomorrow, the 75. We're just rolling them to the 74s for next week. That's what I'm adjusting right now. David, let me pull it up, but probably. Yeah, I think we have to. It should not have come down and done this. It's another tough choice. It's extended on the hourly, but it looks lower. It's a deep, you know, there's no right answer, but just with Cat, you know, I have the stop posted, so I'm going to record it as stopped for them. For you, we're in a live market environment. Just like before, I would do at least half. I mean, the market momentum is down, and I don't know when it's going to stop. So I hate going into hope mode. I hate that. So I'm looking here, Home Depot. Let's see, we're short the 170. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong strikes here. Yeah, when my computer wigged out, it wigged out my positions. All right, so that's in the weekly trader. Let me see what position we have. All right, we have 180, 175. Yeah, I mean, I have to close it stopped for them, but as you said, so I mean, those are my recommendations. Momentum's down on Home Depot in the market. You know, do you get out of all right now? Do you get out of half and see if you can pivot and try to, you know, save a little on the back half? There's no right answer. And so the midpoint right now is 123. So that's what I'm going to stop it out at. And, you know, this kind of also shows you the benefit of day trading. Is you have a shorter time frame. You're making your opinions on. You don't have overnight risk, and you're on and off the bus quicker. And there's your bottoming tail if you held some. Yeah, that's a good observation, Dan. This USG that we have been watching is 50% pullback now to the wide range bar. Well, no, David, I appreciate you following the rules, but your rules could also include if something is climactic and accelerating into my stop, then let it pivot and then move your stop under the new pivot. That's an intelligent following of your rules, and I would not count that as hope mode and violating your rules. So as long as you do something intelligently based upon the facts that exist at the time, then I'm all for it. But it's still just a calculated decision, because if you're waiting for it to pivot and then it goes down another couple bucks, you're sitting in pain. So that's the judgment part component. This Spotify, I've been watching on a 15-minute chart. It's chugging up through its high now. See that? So now it has a bottoming tail. So I'm going to see what we can get paid now for tomorrow. SPOT. And the 150s maybe. See, they've sucked the juice out of them. The 150s are now only 35 cents. And that goes back to my statement of there's a price for certainty, right? This morning when it's banging all over the place, I think I forget what I quoted you earlier, but I think the 145s, what did I say? Like $1.50 or, you know, 2.25? It was something crazy. But now the bulls are in control of the gap down, at least, you know, for today, at least. But there's still massive juice for next week. you know, the 145s are 145 is 60 cents. But again, I'm not doing anything. I'm just kind of talking through some things. Wow, yeah, Coors. Yeah, I think that was an earnings gap we were watching. Well, and then today is a breakaway gap. Sanjay, it's easy. It depends what time frames are you trading. So here's kind of a rough rule of thumb. Like when I'm entering a trade, let's just call it a daily chart. Then I go up one time frame weekly, and it has to be an agreement, and down has to also be bullish, assuming I'm bullish. And then you can drill down a little further to fine tune your entry. So when you say you're short the diamonds, I'm assuming it's a day trade. So do you want to trail it on a 5-minute pivot over a 5-minute bars high, over 15-minute bars high, but if it makes a higher low on the 5-minute chart, if it breaks a downtrend, well, a higher low isn't breaking the downtrend, but you see my point. There's different flavors of managing, and there's no right answer. It depends upon how you entered the trade, you know, what type of trade is it to you, and you know, how tight you want to be to protect the gains. Because if you use, you know, pivots to trail as opposed to just prior bars high, then it's going to retrace against you more. And then obviously, you know, we're using the entire broader markets as your gauge too, with the tick, etc. So diamonds 5-minute made that new low and have a big bottoming tail, right? So the 5 minutes trying to bottom, you know, hourly's climactic. So if it were a day trade to me, I would be getting out right now. But I'd get out. That was a nice trade. And it's because of that 5-minute bottom. All right, nice job. All right, folks, 11 o'clock here. I got to call my, you know, web root company. I think that wigged out my computer, having problems with the antivirus, but I'll still be here. Feel free to type the questions. You know, Greg might be around also. And we're going to do a Facebook and YouTube live market review at noon. We'll give you the link, so feel free to attend that. And then we'll be back after the lunch break.
All right, guys. Sorry, I had to take that call. Um, hey, this wasn't some giant winner, but it was a nice little trade, little day trade. Showed you guys like kind of a pattern there and what to look for, what I didn't like, which wasn't ideal, this support, and it was several days down. But this little shock, these shock patterns are powerful. I mean, just think about you getting on the wrong side of some trade, and you might look at why the hell did I do that? It was counter trend. It was a weekday in the markets. The stock was weak, so on and so forth. So I didn't do anything else today because things were out of sync. And I always look at this kind of stuff and say, did I miss something? Should I have done something else? You always have to not second guess yourself, but you have to always question your method and process, which keeps, your method honest, so to speak, because we always have, look at the psychological things, oh, I'm not so sure, whatever. So that's why we have rules. Anyway. So, and while I would have hoped that this would have accelerated toward the low here to cover it, and it may roll back over here and actually do that. What I was seeing there in the market stabilizing, the tick extreme, which I wasn't watching, a few things going on, but Dan pointed out there at 10:59 minus 1,000 ticks, and my other computer was muted, so my alarm didn't go off, and that was helpful. Thank you, Dan. And I did go and look at that and whatever, and I said, okay, you know what, a little bit more here, and I'm going to take the money. Pat, we are all human. The head game challenge never stops, but as long as you have rules. And one of the things that is said, like, you go to, if you deal with some trading coaches, whatever, whoever they are, like many years ago, and Adrian Toker, I went to her classes years ago. She's a trader's coach, and she's going to be doing a webinar. She's done one in the past for us. I've known her a lot of years, so she's going to be doing one in June. And some of the stuff is like common sense. Don't trade when you've got some turmoil going on in your life, whatever that might be. And because your head isn't working clearly, and it's good advice. So even as long as you've been doing this, you could be angry at your better half, or who knows what goes on, and you're like, shit, and you just hit the button on something, like as if you're going to punish the market. Kind of funny, but you know what I mean. You have that kind of head stuff going on one day. So here's McDonald's down there at the 50 MA. Yeah, exactly right. Rear view mirror 20, not so much in the moment. Exactly. So McDonald's here broke out back here, and now it's pulling back into the unfilled gap. And I think this is going to be a good one to watch for tomorrow. Looking for a turn. And in this Mr. Schizophrenic market, it would be no surprise to me whatsoever, and I don't think for anybody, if this day turned into a bottoming tail. I don't know that that'll happen, but it would not be a surprise whatsoever, because that's what the kind of stuff that's been going on. And look at this day. Market craters, heads lower, bottoming tail bar. So what's different now? This gap down today, and it's dropped down. Support hasn't been broken in any significant way. So. Let's see, the Dow futures are under the 200 MA. Probably the Dow is itself, I would think. Let's just take a look at where spiders. Let's look at the cash. And so far, well, I don't know that that's updating in real time, cash. Let's see, the spiders. No, probably not. That's bouncing there a little bit. But if it closes under the 200, you know CNBC is going to be all over that tonight. Close under the 200 and different techs. Oh, and the market is notorious for doing this over the years. Break under the 200 and then turn around. Q's still showing relative strength. Semiconductors, really a nothing day. Technology, nothing. Utilities pulling back. IWM, not a big deal. Transports hanging on. Well, there's the break of this, where it's coming to the end of this volatility things, which where it's breaking suggests lower. Let's just see if it actually happens. And for those of you looking at this on YouTube, these are not trend lines. This is just what I went over in the room the other day, is to say volatility is contracting and it should break one way or the other pretty soon. And so now we've got the break, and let's see if Mr. Schizo, the market, continues. So we've got a lot of markets that are not breaking, which leads to more uncertainty. And consumer staples just continues to be crushed. Is that illegal, Pat? I guess kind of shifting the money around there. Financials. That looks bad. That's right. So I said politics is a dirty business. Some years ago, I don't even know why. I know I did it, but anyway, I ran for commissioner in the town where I live, and it was a time actually during the presidential election, and there was some other Senate elections going on, and I've never been involved in anything there, so I didn't start campaigning until a little later because the manager I hired said, nobody's going to pay attention. And what happened was, I got a lot of votes for somebody that, never been involved, didn't have any name. Once I started it, it started rolling. But what happened was, because of the presidential election that was happening, A lot of people did early voting. They didn't even know my name. So the person that won, all of the majority of votes that, you know, when you see the results on election night, as they come in, you can see them instantly on a certain website. It's like the jump from the early voting was just boom. And it was like to overcome that was like impossible. But as the other ones come in, it was catching up, but just didn't make it. But, you know, this thing of dirt, you know, politics is a dirty game. These people just so get crazy. Like, what are they going to say about me? Because, you know what? I don't even have a speeding ticket. It's like, what are you going to say bad? So, I mean, but the things that they come out with or try, you know, I mean, that's just politics. And with this Trump thing, they're just having a field day in trying to invent stuff, or if there's anything there. And it certainly makes for entertaining TV stuff, and the stuff that gets posted on Facebook is just incredible too. The arguments that go on between people is just wow. Anyway, these financial stocks look like short bait to me. They're going to keep going down. Travelers. Let's see what's showing some relative strength here. Oof. Wow. Yeah, bad people, man. Well, you know, you're trying to take away someone's income, you know. People don't get into politics because of the salary. Maybe in Washington they do, but they get whatever. But local stuff, certainly not because of what you're going to get paid, or because of the payoffs. We have a nearby town here where actually there's three towns around where I live where the mayors have been arrested. And I went to a friend's birthday party over the weekend, and one of the couples were there were the neighbors and good friends of the mayor, one of the mayors that's been arrested. And what an excuse was, well, you know, he doesn't have a lot of money and he was only getting paid like $30,000 a year. So he was an easy target to be influenced to take some money. Like, really? Like, he didn't know the salary going in? Right? And now you want to make light of that he was stealing money? Well, you know, a local political office here is like you are, you know, like helping the community, so to speak. The salaries are minimal. You know, for like a commissioner is like whatever, 15, 16,000. I think they give them health insurance, but it's not considered a job, so to speak. You know, these people have jobs or they retired and they have money. So I don't think they get pensions. I don't know. I don't know locally here. But, you know, you're supposed to go in there to help the community. But few do that. Most of them, you make connections, which is nothing wrong with that. Let's see if this can regain its footing later in the day. PM? Maybe. So why would I even consider this? Well, it's green. It's green on the day. Yeah. Yep. But so where's my drawing tools? Okay. So what's happening here? You got this move down. Right? It tries to bottom and it doesn't. It breaks the low. It could turn into a shock pattern where this becomes a breakdown failure. This is where your indicator people, you know, they come in after the fact and it's like, oh, you know, and look at the bullish divergence. So all these divergences are really just based on slowing momentum. So you just look at the distance between the lows and the reversals that occur. So once you get a green bar and a reversal and it heads to a new low and you get the next down and reversal, that's where you're going to get a divergence. So taking it above here to tomorrow, maybe. We could look at it tomorrow. You know it's going to stall here. But, it's something that we could look at. You know, but it has to start to show some additional strength besides just the green day, of course. Okay. So what you'd want to do is look at the weekly maybe even the monthly, and see if it's near some support. And it is in some support. It hasn't gotten all the way down to the lows, but it's an area. So, you got to look at that as an area. All right, guys, I'm going to take a little break here. Dan and I are going to do a little webinar at 12 o'clock, which will be live on Facebook as well. So those of you on YouTube, if you want to go onto Facebook, or you can register. If you're on the Master Trader Facebook page, it'll just pop up there. And anyway, we'll go over some things that's going on today. So I'm going to take a little break here, and I probably have to close the room to open up the other one. I'm not sure. But those of you that are in the room, if I do close it down, we'll just reopen it after, that's over. So we'll be back in a little bit. He said you'll send the YouTube link. It's not going to be on YouTube, Pat. It's going to be on Facebook. So if you just go to the Master Trader page on Facebook, it'll open up. But anyway, in any event, if you registered, you're going to be in a room just like this. So it's in a webinar room, and it's going to be on Facebook. So just like when I'm putting on YouTube now live, it's going to go on Facebook instead of YouTube. All right. So we'll talk a little later.